All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to episode number 11 of the Beyond the Trail podcast. And you all are in for a treat this evening. I am one of your hosts, Julie Gayheart, also known as Jester. And this gentleman right here beside me, Austin, how are you doing this evening?
What's up, sports fans? I'm excited about tonight.
I know.
Like this one, I've actually been looking forward to this one because we got two really, really great folks on with us tonight. So I'm digging it.
And they are going to be showing us some of what they've created, some of their behind the scenes. But if everyone listening has not watched our film trailer for Safe and Found, we recommend that you do that directly after the live. You can find that also on the Jester Wallis Productions YouTube channel. You could also find our link to the film. We're hoping each and every one of you will have the opportunity, if you live in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, or any of the surrounding states surrounding North Carolina. We will be showing the premiere on Saturday, January 20th at 2 p.m. at the Haywood Community Center or Haywood Community College. Let me think about that about 3 times. Haywood Community College Auditorium. Doors will open at 2 o'clock. Our guests this evening, Heidi and Whim, will be there set up with lots of things to sell you all, and a portion of their proceeds will be going to the Western North Carolina Wilderness Safety Fund. And Austin, we have something to share. We actually got interviewed this afternoon. You want to talk about that?
That was different because normally we're the ones interviewing. So we got to talk with a reporter from the Mountaineer, which is a newspaper in Waynesville, I believe. So we talked with her for a better part of 40 minutes, all about kind of where this idea for Safe and Found came from, how it developed, kind of some of our favorite parts. So if you're in the Waynesville area, we're told that probably Saturday is when it's going to come out. I'm personally looking forward to that one because it's always fun to, Julie and I have looked at this project from the inside, from the very beginning, and now to kind of hear from other people and look at it from the outside a little bit, that'll be interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, being on the other end of the interview was a different perspective for sure.
One of the things that she asked us was what was our favorite part of the film. And we told her.
We said the same thing.
But we cannot release it because we're not telling anybody until they actually see the film. So the only one on this live with us right now is Heidi, and she has seen it, and she cannot release it either. So she is under a, what do they call it, a gag order? Is that what?
Yep. Yep. But it's good. It's going to be worth the wait.
Yeah. So again, as soon as we get that link from the Mountaineer, we will blow up your social media like we've been blowing it up over the past 3 or 4 days. We are also hoping that there's a newspaper, I think it's the Biltmore, that also releases in the Asheville area. We're hoping that will get released there as well. And with all of your help, a lot of you in the chat this evening, we truly appreciate your support. I have seen a lot of you reposting the social media posts that we have been putting out there. A lot of you have been reposting the trailer on Facebook, on Instagram. And if you all are not following our guest, either on Instagram or Facebook, you need to do so. That would be Heidi is Sketching Summits, I believe, on Instagram and Facebook, and Whim at Hiker Metals. He is also Hiker Metals on Instagram and Facebook. You need to follow our amazing partners as well. In Austin, probably for the first time in our 11 episodes, we have an agenda.
Oh boy.
I know.
Well, that means we're just going to stray from it. but
Yeah, we're not going to follow it, but we actually have an agenda because we want to give our guest time and opportunity to share with you all their creation process for our film. So, Austin, if you want to introduce our guest, people are sick of looking at us. So, let's introduce them and get them on the screen.
let's roll. So here we are.
And here we are.
I can't say enough good things about these folks. So we came to Whim. I guess it was just over a year ago at this point.
Exactly a year ago. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we told the reporter all about you, Whim. So sorry.
But Whim, I consider a good friend now because not only is he supporting Safe and Found, but he supported Julie and I as creators through probably one of the tougher times that she and I have ever been through. And Whim, you stuck with us, and I got to tell you, that means a whole lot.
And here we are. So glad
and here we are.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Whim is the owner and founder of Hiker Metals. And if you haven't heard of Hiker Metals, that means you haven't listened to the first 10 episodes of Beyond the Trail podcast. But Whim, you have some amazing metals. We're going to talk specifically about one in depth, but do you want to talk at all about anything you got on the horizon or anything like that for Hiker Metals? Any new stuff coming out besides the one we're going to talk about?
Well, this is big, right? Being able to be part of this was a huge thing for me, and so there's going to be a podcast this year. That's going to be. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
I'm a little nervous. So probably the first one will come out in February. We do the recording end of January, and then it will be released in February. And it's going to be called Stories That Inspire Us. So we get so many incredible stories, right, through the metals, and often it's through the engraving, or you see it on social media, or people share a story, and it's phenomenal. It's really amazing what people do. And often I need to talk to these people, right? I have so many questions. So now I'm actually going to ask them the questions. So it will be interesting. We'll see.
And Whim, I will say your background has outdone all of us.
Yeah, for sure.
He actually has the movie poster hanging and framed behind him. So
That's
bravo,
awesome.
job well done. And we have another guest. Austin, you want to introduce our next
Yeah.
guest? Not that she's not been hanging out on the screen with us already.
Yeah. So again, our second guest needs no introduction because we have talked to Heidi on Beyond the Trail podcast before. But Heidi is joining us because she has created some of the most amazing artwork. And I just feel privileged to even just be looking at it. We brought
Wow.
because we came up with when we were, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit, but when Julie and I were kind of brainstorming how to visually tell this story of Safe and Found, I knew there were going to be some gaps where we were trying to tell a story and there's just no footage that exists. There's only so much that you can film. But if you're trying to tell a story about something that happened years ago, you got to figure out another way to visually tell that story. And so I knew that we were going to have to fill this gap. And I had the idea of trying to do some type of animation, but I didn't really know what was going on. And so through happenstance, Julie and I were walking down the street at NC Trail Days, and there was Heidi. And she had her booth and selling her amazing artwork. And we're like, Julie, I think it was your idea, but you're like, as we were walking away, you were like, what if we use Heidi for the artwork for Safe and Found? And I'm like, oh man. And then my gears went into like 11th gear.
I know. Then an explosion happened.
Oh
then
man.
We went to lunch, and if Alonda is on this live with us tonight, Alonda Heron was with us at lunch, and she heard the whole banter. I was like, well, we're using Heidi. And Austin was like, well, I think, but yeah. And I'm like, no, we are.
Well, no, because I forget. So we had our meeting with, actually, I think we had our podcast with you shortly after that meeting, Heidi. And then we pitched the idea of bringing you on for the video or for the film.
We're talking and you're like, Jester's like, oh, we have an announcement. And Austin's like, I don't know if we have an
We haven't.
announcement.
She hasn't actually said yes. I don't know if we can say it.
And here's the thing: if you listen to the audio version of the show, I took all of that out.
Oh, okay.
So Heidi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So we will get to our agenda because we're actually going to turn it over to Heidi and Whim, and this is the way the rest of the show is going to work, because the title of this episode is The Making of. It's also the creation of, because one of the things that we were talking to about with the reporter this afternoon is how all of this came together, from talking to Nancy to see if she would be interested in working with us on a film, talking to Whim and convincing you, Whim, to work with us, and then talking with Heidi, and then interviewing everybody that is in the film. And over 15, 16 months have gone by. So it's hard to believe that this entire project has come together, and we're all chomping at the bit to show you the film. And Whim has not seen the film. So I guess our first question before we get to your artwork. So Whim, how do you feel about everything now? You've only seen the trailer.
I know it's and all that when you see the trailer, all it is you want to see more, right? It's
That's
it's
the
so well
idea.
done. Yeah, the first time when I saw the trailer was just amazing, right? Because we've worked, because I have not done any hard work, right? But you all have done so much hard work on this, and Austin, I don't know how you do it with all the footage that you have and trying to put that together, and then seeing it come together and you get a feel of the film already, right? You get the colors, the sound, kind of the way it's all put on video. It's beautiful, right? But you want these people have such amazing stories to tell, and that's what you want to hear. Right. And what I love, again, I haven't seen it and I really want to see it. I've searched the pirate and black market, deep. It's not there. It's not there yet. So, um, so when you think search and rescue, often you think about, the rescue piece and the helicopters flying in and we're getting somebody out. There is so much more to it. The search piece is such a big part of it. And then, again, without the search, there is no rescue, right? So, and I think that's what this movie is going to show, I think, from based on what I've seen. And of course, when we were there as well, right, when the search and rescue, the training, it's going to show a lot of that piece, right? How hard that piece is, right? That's where all the work really goes in. And rescue is, still important, right? But then it really happens all up front. So, yeah, can't wait to see it, and can't wait to see all of Heidi's creations. So, I really look forward to that.
And Stella in the chat says, Whim, she could be bribed. So, so Heidi, from your perspective, you have a little bit different perspective because Austin shared with you, pretty much everything, because you had to make the art that was actually going to sit inside the film. So share with us your perspective.
Of the film, like,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. It was really interesting to watch the, you started with all of these video clips in a Dropbox file somewhere, and I was completely overwhelmed. So hats off to Austin for going through all of that and finding the relevant stuff. I can't imagine what went into that for you. But it was the stories are just incredible, and you did a really great job of interviewing these people and them really just relaying these stories, and you must have made them feel very comfortable because their stories are very raw and they just completely transport the viewer to where they are. So for me, so many of these images that I drew, it just like I didn't even have to think about what that was going to look like because I've hiked in these areas and they just tell this story. And I was like, I know exactly where you were at. I know exactly what you mean by this and what it looks like when it's snowing here. So they did a really good job of, transporting the viewer into their really quite terrifying scenarios. And I'll just say this too, is like I'm on trail all the time and I work as a guide. And since I started working as a guide, there has been a lot of this like worst case scenario kind of looming over my head in a way that that didn't or just doesn't when I hike recreationally. But then I piled this documentary on top of it. I've just been like, oh my God, okay, you guys, do we have all of our evacuation points figured out? Does somebody know? It's really like, I go out all the time, and it's very easy to forget to kind of have your 10 essentials and cover everything that you need to cover. And, after this, it's just been like a really, really good reminder, if not kind of terrifying reminder of like, you really are putting yourself at risk the moment you step on trail, and what can you do to make sure that risk is eliminated.
And Heidi, I think, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Austin.
No, I was going to say, one of the things we talked about with that reporter today was how the process of putting this film together has kind of morphed as we've moved through it. And so one of the things, I don't think we've talked about this on the podcast yet, but when we brought Heidi on, we showed her like a draft of the beginning of the film. And you made some comment, but it was about Nancy East's book. And you made some comment about it. You already knew the story because you had read Nancy's book. And that just, it was like a lightning bolt for Julie and I. And we completely changed the beginning of the film because of that. And I like it better now anyway.
I called Austin. Heidi, I was like, absolutely not. Could this be the beginning? So thank you, Heidi.
We changed. Yeah, we changed the beginning of the film. And I honestly think it's better now. But yeah, so Heidi's been there with us pretty close to the beginning of the post-production phase. We finished filming. Now it's time to pile everything together into this timeline and edit it together. So yeah, it's been a journey. But the other thing I love about Heidi, your work, and I already sent you a message about this, but the fact that you're familiar with these areas, the fact that you already have a passion for the outdoors, it just comes through so clearly in the artwork and the attention to detail. Because I could tell, like you had gone through and listened to the interviews before you did the work, and so there were little nuances that, like, because I have watched every single second of B-roll and listened to every single second of interview for this entire film. So I can hear it and I can recognize it because I've listened to it so many darn times. But yeah, the little details that you put into it definitely did not go unnoticed. So I hope everyone else can appreciate it as much as Julie and I do. But yeah, awesome stuff.
So we should get into some of those details, and I'll go back to the agenda that we have for this evening.
The agenda.
The loose agenda that we have for this evening. So what we are going to do is we're going to start with Heidi, and this is a very unique thing that I don't know if I've ever seen creators do, is we are going to give you guys an inside look to Heidi and some of her art in the creation process. And then we're going to switch over to Whim and his creation process with the metal that he created specifically to coincide with the film. So Heidi, let's start with you, and everybody should still be able to hear us. So for those of you that are listening to the audio version, we encourage you to come over and watch the YouTube version, because you certainly want to see these renderings and behind the scenes work. So Heidi, I'm going to flip this over. And do you just want to tell everybody what this piece is before I start playing?
Sure. Yeah. So before you start playing, so I did all of the illustrations in Procreate, which is a program on an iPad. So I'm using an Apple Pen to draw. And this is something that I really only started. I've done one other full project this way before this. I do not have a lot of experience with digital art, but it's made stuff like this a lot easier because I can go and do the whole drawing, re-listen to the interview and realize, oh, wait, it was supposed to be snowing for this scene, and I don't have to redraw it. It's just digital, so I can erase and I can add to it. So that's why I decided to use that medium for this project. And for this scene, it's going over Nancy reading from her book and talking about the process of being on a search and going off trail. and stumbling over leaf litter and wet rocks while she's looking for somebody. So if you want to go ahead and start the progress video, then people can kind of see what it started as. But I'm using a lot of my own photos here and doing a lot of photo shoots to get the reference images. So I just go outside in my own shoes and find some rocks. And then from there, I'm digging through, I mean, this photo is actually a still from a video I took on my Appalachian Trail through hike 5 years ago. I liked these ferns. I liked this moss. I liked those leaves over there. I liked that rock. And so I'm pulling all of these in. A lot of it's that same perspective of looking down over my shoes and just pulling in the components I liked from different photographs and then drawing those in using an airbrush brush on Procreate.
Excellent. So should we play it one more time? Did everybody get the perspective? Because I feel like I have to watch this multiple times.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Okay, so Austin says roll it again. So Heidi,
you want? I'll give it to you at real speed, and it'll take about like 10 hours.
Okay. Yeah. I imagine that this photo took some time.
And the texture of the all of that. I mean, it's almost like sad to watch it in the 30-second replay because they took so much longer than that. But yeah, just all of the reference photos you're seeing, actually, a lot of them are stills from videos that I've taken to be like, just on Instagram and say, look at this crap I have to hike over, like, look at these leaves and look at that. But the first photo that you saw there, I actually had to go out and take that picture, balancing on some rocks myself because I didn't have any good photos of me walking, an off-trail terrain. Most of those photos of me looking down at my feet is on a smooth trail because if it's really that rocky, I'm not bothering with my phone.
Well, you are getting kudos in the chat, Heidi. Wonderful artwork. That's just incredible. And that's just one piece, you guys, of 20 that you will see in the film and the artwork as well. So, yeah, that's just incredible. Wonderful artwork. So amazing. And that's just a little taste, quite honestly. If I remember correctly, that was a sample. Maybe that we talked about originally. Yeah.
It was my second one. The first one was the one I posted the other day in the car.
That's right.
This was the second one that I did because I was like, I don't know. We had that clip down and the rest was all this footage of Elizabeth. And I was like, I'm not watching all of this until I know what's.
And I think it's probably worth mentioning, like Julie and I, we had an idea of the storyline and kind of what, there were different shots that we were trying to, those gaps we were trying to fill. But it had to have been frustrating on your end because we would give you just these like huge umbrellas of guidance, just make something that, includes these people doing something. And so I don't know if that's good or bad as an artist to give you such a broad stroke, but
gave the very appropriate amount of direction. I think when we started, before a lot of the video was put together, I started to feel a little bit overwhelmed over, how much content there was to be watched, and then not having a full understanding of like what was going to go in and out. But really, after that illustration that we just saw, that second one, you came back with a lot more. Cohesive and then exactly what you said, where you're like, here's a vague scene and then it's like, that's all I needed was just sort of like one direction. Otherwise I would be like, doing all this work and be like, what if this scene doesn't even get in?
That was exactly what I was trying to avoid. Cause I was like, I know how much work goes into each one of these. I don't want it to be for naught.
Car at a trailhead. Okay, cool. Car at a trailhead. That's all I need to know. And then I can go with it. So I thought you guys did the perfect amount of direction.
Well, good.
And it worked. And we have one more of Heidi's coming up. But in the meanwhile, Whim, we are going to flip over here to... And when I pulled this up, I was like, this is the coolest thing. I don't even know what you call this. I just keep calling a rendering. So we've got the full metal here underneath you. And then I don't know if this is what you started with. You're going to have to explain it to us, Whim.
Yeah, it's funny, right? So I just, for the record, right, I'm not an artist like Heidi is. Heidi's a true artist, right? And Heidi, I see you do murals and actual paintings and all that kind of stuff. For the life of me, I can't paint, right? Or I can't draw. But I use this, my technique is very similar to Heidi's, actually, when you talked about the iPad. Because start with inspiration, right? And that's, you search the internet for, because it's really important. And when you make a medal, that you capture the essence of the hike, right? That somebody who has done it say, oh yeah, my gosh, right? Everything is reflected in it. So, it's very similar technique. So I get the inspiration, the elements that I think should be in the design, and then I'm kind of pulling it together, right? And I use it also for then as a background, and then I just start drawing, and I don't really then draw. It's really dot by dot. I put it together, right? So, but thank you to the iPad, but so this one was interesting because you all asked me, and I had never been to the Smokies, so I've never been there. But then of course, thank you to the internet. But then also was wondering, okay, what is important for people to have in a medal? And it's actually a really hard scenery because there's a lot of forest, right? And forest is not easy to do in a medal, right? It gets very quickly very cartoonish, which you're trying to avoid. But then I got these. I actually I found the picture that was the inspiration for the backgrounds, but it was a licensed picture, so it couldn't really show. But because that gave me the colors, right, with the sunset, and you have all these different layers. So, but that alone doesn't do anything, right? If I have metal with those rolling hills, that's not going to do it. So I thought there has to be something special. And I've done the topographic lines before, where you kind of draw the lines, and you see that in the metal. But I'm going to try with this one to make it actual layers, right? To see the height differences. And I think, and it's been a while now, but and it's really hard to see on this specific. On the other later one, we'll be able to see a little better. But it starts with a blank slate indeed as well, and then you just start drawing. But so I had a topographic map, and just each. And I had it was kind of a heat map, so each height has a different color. So I just started tracing each color to get to 6 different levels, and that took forever. That was just this medal by far took. I think it took 3-4 weeks before I really had it all done. And I'm not working on it all the time, of course, but it was a lot of work. But I'm really happy with the end result because it does give that little that oomph factor, right, for the medal. So I'm happy the way it turned out. And actually, the ribbon is part of that. Actually, the ribbon is almost my favorite part of the medal because it has that same topographic map, and then it's as art, right? It's really as I just blew it up, and then as art. So that's how it starts. And happy with the result. And I'm just pleased that people really seem to like it. Yeah.
Do you like how, Austin, everybody has said this took the longest and this took me hours? Heidi's hours. She can't even talk about how long. And Wim, weeks to put this together. I'm proud of us, Austin.
Yeah. And it's easy to, like, especially when we look at Heidi's artwork and we look at the medals and when we look at the film on the 20th, it's easy to just kind of take it all in, for the 46 minutes of the premiere and whatnot. But, all of us have put in just countless hours to make this film, make this project what it is. And that's why I love this episode. That's why I was looking forward to it so much, because we get to talk a little bit about all of that just nitty gritty in the weeds work that it takes to create something like this project. So I love it. I love it all.
Well, let's keep on our agenda. And Heidi has another piece, and I'm biased. This is my favorite piece. And it's been out to the world, out on social media. And Heidi, you killed it today on your Instagram. With your quote and what you did. So let's go ahead and take you over. And do you want to start walking, not giving too much information, but give a little insight of this picture, and you let me know when to hit play.
Yeah, sure. So the scene is with David after he is in the woods for a few days, and he's talking about taking his shoes and socks off and setting them by the fire to dry, and having his feet in the snow while trying to warm them by the fire. And so most of these pictures and these really specific scenes, like, I don't have reference pictures, and my figure drawing isn't good enough to be just completely inventive. And so almost all of the figures that you're seeing in this is either myself or my husband, Raph. So we were in Colorado for Thanksgiving, and it actually had just snowed outside, and I almost made him go outside and sit in the snow, and I was like, no, I can figure out how to draw. So if you want to go ahead and start playing the progress, you'll see I got a picture of Raph. I'm like, put on your puffy coat, put your trail runners to the side. I want them, in the front, so it's a little bit more foreshortened. You can see Ellie in the background, which is my brother-in-law's dog. So she was joining for it, and I was tempted to put her into the scene as well because she's just so cute. But it really wouldn't have been that accurate. There wasn't a dog in this scenario. So just using him as a reference, that you can pay attention to his left foot on our right. He was very unhappy with how that one looked to start. And I had to go back in and work on that foot 3 or 4 times before Roth deemed it acceptable to go out into the world. He's like, no, my feet don't look like that. And I'm like, they actually do, because I just okay, I'll put a different photo in here. Look at that instead. And then the fire was really fun because they make a brush that's called flame, and so I just kind of got to block in the black and whites for the sticks, and then coming in with just a simple brush and adding those swoopies, if you will, and then inventing the background and the texture for the snow.
Okay. I put up a quote from Tangent Trails. Wow. And that's really what I'm still thinking. And I have seen this thing, and I'm still looking at it. I forgot to flip the screen over to show all of us. It just, wow.
And it nails it, because there's a portion of the film, there's a story that we talk about where there's some folks lost in the woods in January in Shining Rock Wilderness, and there's tons of snow on the ground, and it's super, super cold, like in the teens. And we're trying to convey cold through a visual sensation rather than actually feeling it. We wanted to make the viewers cold. And what could be more cold than putting your feet in the snow? And so just that was it conveys the feeling so well. I'm just so happy with how everything came out. But this is the first time I've gotten to watch these little progress videos.
Okay, obviously I have no idea what I'm doing with the screens.
It's all good. It's all good.
I apologize, people. I get so caught up in it. I forget which one I'm clicking. So, Austin, my apologies.
Not at all. Not at all. But yeah, it nailed it.
It's a little off script. But so Heidi, I love this movie poster, right? So because I love the colors. This is the first artwork I saw that you made for the movie. So was that created a similar way?
Yeah, so the cover was also created through Procreate, and that program has been really easy to learn for me working in black and white. And so that's why I accepted this project. They said black and white, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll do it. And color has been really intimidating and really challenging to do. But they had this really great photo from one of the searches that happened that they talk about in the film, that you guys had provided me with, and it was just this really great scene of a lot of the team standing on the side of the mountain with the sunset in the background. And so I used that as my reference, and thankfully sunsets can be very, just kind of did it several different ways and played with a lot of different brush options until I got something that kind of looked like that sunset. And I really loved, it was actually from the photograph that somebody just took on their phone, during this search, the highlighter yellow clothing that the search and rescue team had, where they're mostly silhouetted, but then that bright yellow is showing, and then they're silhouetted against the purple mountains, and then that yellow is kind of reflected in the sky. And so I saw that photo and really appreciated the color scheme of it, and used that as the inspiration, and then just kind of changed the composition to be a little bit more symmetrical and even, and make sure we had good representation of male to female ratio in the rescuers and searchers that were standing there. I don't know if
it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. Yeah.
That too.
Yeah.
Heidi, I missed that part. Say that again.
So Austin had a cue for me when he was making suggestions for the cover. He was like, I was kind of thinking like Band of Brothers, and I was like, got it. And so I did this illustration. I showed it to my husband. He goes, oh, it reminds me of Band of Brothers. And I was like, there, bam, did it.
Perfect.
I will say every time that I would secretly just open the Google Drive to see if you had put another photo in there. Not secretly, but I guess no one cares, but me, you, and Austin. And then Austin would beat me to one, and I'd be like, dang it, he saw it before me. So incredible, Heidi. Yeah, just thank you so much. And it's been such a pleasure to work with you and in this whole process. And we can say that now after we're like out of the thick of it. And I'm pretty much in celebration mode, even though we haven't shown the film yet. So, Wim, let's flip you back over. And I think I have the exact picture that you were talking about with the layers that you'll have to explain to us.
Okay, yeah. So I work with a factory, right? So they have to actually produce it. So they create a mold, and it takes them about 1 to 2 days to actually make that, right? Because it starts with just a piece of metal, and they with all kind of tools they have to start creating the mold that then is being used to create all these metals. But to make sure so most of the metals that you see that you get at races, they're kind of two-dimensional flat, right? So you have the metal pieces, and then stuff gets filled with the paint. So the challenge I always have, you can't do gradients, right? So like if you talk, so this beautiful artwork that Heidi made behind me, you can't really do that in the metal because you can't do gradients. So you always there has to be a border, and then you go from one color to the other. And but what this shows is really to the factory. So on the right you see the millimeters, right? So that's because what you see here is all metal. It doesn't show what's going to get filled with the animal, right? With the paint. So so this shows exactly. So when you make that mold, the different colors, right? So if it's green, if it's yellow, that's 4 millimeters thick. If it's green, it's 4.2. So, and this is where you see when you see the topographic map that you have 6 different layers, right? And it's incredible what they can do, how detailed they can get, right? Because honestly, if you look at the metal itself, I have it here in front of me, you wouldn't tell, right? You can't see that there's 6 layers. But you would see the difference if there's only 2 layers, right? So, but this is how they make it, right? So I send it to them. That's also then there's no confusion about, for example, the trees that you see. They have to be at different depths, right? So it can't be all flat. So then, because of this is how I communicate with them. Like this is how I want it to be. So yeah, so it works really well. It looks really weird when you look at it like this, but it works really well in communicating with the factory who makes them.
Well, show us that medal since you have one right beside you.
I don't know. It's on camera, but yeah, that's it. Yeah. So and this is the ribbon, right? So
tell us about the ribbon.
So the ribbon is so it's the same, right? But I use different colors. So I enlarged it, and that's what I always like. I mean, and then I blow it up, right? And it turns into a piece of art a little bit. And I change there you go. And change the colors, and then it's the same, but the same artwork, but then different colors. And then I love this one. It's really, really nice, honestly, the way the ribbon turned out. But yeah, and then this is the medal. Yeah.
And then Wim, you can move to the side just a little bit because we want to see that full artwork that you have in the poster. And at the very bottom, this might be one of my favorite parts. As you guys are looking, in this poster, you have a combination of Whim and Heidi now because Whim, tell everybody what you did to the bottom there. You added something to that.
You mean the movie credits?
Yeah,
kind
the
of thing?
banner,
Okay.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I saw you had sent out the artwork, and I thought, man, this is a true movie poster, right? I at the bottom you have this. So yeah, we added that, right? So there's it has produced by, supported by artwork, music. It's all on there. Yeah, it's all on there. It's kind of cool. It looks almost as if we know what we're doing. You do. You do. I don't.
Let me be clear. When it comes to art, I know nothing about what I'm doing. I can draw nothing. I have ideas, and then I go, hey, can you make this happen? Or what is it like with the metal and, with Heidi with the artwork? I have no idea. So this is why I'm just so proud of this, and we haven't even shown the film. I'm just so proud of it. It's been great to work with all of you. Austin might be ready to fire me at this point, but Austin, what are your thoughts on all of this with the combination? Give these guys some accolades.
I know. So Julie and I, our first project together was I Am the MST, and we pretty much did that ourselves. And so, it was, I think it was a good first project, but walking away from it, I learned a ton. And one of the things that we learned was that things could be so much better if we bring in people that know what they're doing. And so that's what we wanted to do with Safe and Found with this project. Before we even knew what to call it, we hadn't even come up with a title yet. We're like, we need to bring in, this needs to be a team effort. And man, it has turned out better than we could have possibly hoped for. Whim, with everything that you've done for us, and Heidi, all of the artwork. I mean, it's just, I could not be more proud of this project and being a part of it. Because I really think we have all created something pretty amazing. And not to toot our own horn, but I'm going to toot our own horn. I think we've done some pretty great stuff here. And it's great. I just love it.
So let's get down to the brass tacks now. We need everyone to come to the premiere if you are in the area. If you're not, if you're like Whim, he's coming from Texas, and we do have somebody coming from California. So really, there's no excuse. We are showing the film Saturday, January 20th. Doors open at 2:00, and I'm going to put Heidi and Whim on the spot. Heidi and Whim will be there selling some of their art, some of the medals. So Heidi, what can people expect to purchase from you the day of the film?
Well, if you're familiar with my work, I do have a lot of watercolor paintings, mostly Western North Carolina or Appalachian Trail. So I'll have prints of those, postcards, greeting cards, some of the normal stuff I sell at festivals, trying to keep, price points easy and impulsive. But for this event specifically, I will be having prints of these illustrations per y'all's request. I don't know how many of them, they're definitely made for the film and not necessarily to hang on your wall. But if you want a picture of my husband's feet
I think yes, of course.
Go right ahead. So I'll have a handful of the from the film available for purchase as well. And then I have a bunch of stickers that I sell for some of the trails in the area and some of the specific mountains. And
are we going to have a surprise that we're not going to talk about?
We might have a surprise that we're not going to talk about, but we're not talking about it. I am not entirely sure. I got a few really cool opportunities thrown at me, really big opportunities thrown at me in the last 2 weeks, which has been incredibly exciting, but very overwhelming. So it'll be a time thing about.
Okay. Well, there might be a surprise if you're at the premiere. If not, you'll hear about it later. And
but we're not talking about it.
But we're not talking about it tonight. Whim, what can people expect? I know medals are hard to carry on a plane. So again, if you need to ship anything to us, let us know.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so I'll definitely have the Smokies medal there. So we'll make sure it's a good deal. So normally 10%, make it 20% of what's sold there of everything will go to Haywood County, right? Search and rescue. I was thinking bring the engraving machines, but I don't know about I don't know about the plane, if that's possible, because then we could engrave, right? It's always cool that you can engrave on the back, but I don't know if I really want to do it on the plane. I mean, they fit in a case.
Oh, you got Heidi thinking about something right now. She's like this.
Yeah. But anyway, so I'll bring some. I have 70 designs, so I'm not sure which one to bring. I may run it by y'all, see which ones would probably be good to Appalachian Trail, of course. But,
Mountains of Sea.
Oh, of course. Yes. Duh.
Hello.
Of course. Yeah. So we'll talk about that a little bit. So yeah, but but we're just glad to be there.
Awesome. Well, listen, we are very grateful. We can't say that enough. We are very thankful. And I guess to round this out before Austin and I do our closing banter, is there anything on the horizon beyond the film that you want to tell people about? Whim, I know you said you have your podcast coming up. We will 100% make sure the listeners have that information. Heidi, anything on the horizon?
One thing I can talk about, I'll be starting a mural in February at Confluence in Framerton, which is just south of Belmont, so just outside of Charlotte, commissioned by the Catawba River Keepers. So if anybody wants to see mural progress, that'll be getting posted like crazy in February. A lot of other really cool projects that I can't talk about because they're not firm yet, so just stay tuned.
Good times.
All right, you guys, we love you to death. Hang on. Don't go anywhere. Austin, we're ready to go.
Ready.
We are ready.
Now
In the
all we
description.
need is the film.
Yeah. Well, we have the film. We have the film. We need people to show up on the 20th. And again, we started a month-long campaign to raise funds for the Western North Carolina Wilderness Safety Fund. So if you have an extra dollar in your pocketbook, send it on over to the fund. They would truly, truly appreciate that. If you have not watched the film trailer, please head on over to Jester Wallis Productions YouTube channel. The film trailer is on the channel. And then we also have a film website where you can find out all of our information about the premiere. And Austin, you say that so well, what the website is, because when I was editing the episode the other night, you said it so well with adding the dashes. So go for it.
So safe-and-found with the dashes in between the words. So I don't know if that's the same way I did it.
Maybe our lovely assistant in the chat will add that one more time. The film premiere movie website, if you will throw that in the chat. Austin, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the work that you did. As a side note, y'all, this was not easy. This was not easy on Austin. This was not easy on me, even though we knew all along, with all of the hard work that went into this, that we would be proud of it. But I'm going to tell you right now, the process was tough.
Process was painful.
It was tough. It was tough, but we're proud of it. We
Yeah.
hope to see you all, on the 20th. In the meantime, everybody, check out the website. Should I close out with the trailer?
Yeah, why not? You got it loaded?
I do
Yeah,
have it loaded.
That's a great way to finish it up.
Yeah. So, Austin, I love you to death. Hang on and be safe out there, everybody.
And good times.
None of the folks that we rescue wake up in the morning and go, you know, I think I want to be lost in the woods for 3 days in 25-degree weather and 6 inches of snow. That would be cool. Nobody makes that calculation. It just happens sometimes.
I knew that there was 0% chance that we would be found alive.
We want people to go out. We all go out and enjoy these areas, and we want everybody to go out and do that, do it safely, and return home.
These men and women, these guys and girls, they give up hundreds of hours of their life each year to go out and to look for and to save other people's lives.
That's right. How do you say thank you to somebody for putting their own life at risk? How do you thank you? The words thank you do not even come close to the emotions that pass over me when I think about them.